But one more thing about CB's, which is really cool. At some point in the '90s, when we were playing there, one of the road crew guys, you remember the walls in CB? I mean, just was like, but so he took a piece of drywall. I don't know how he took it, but with like the graffiti on there, and so I actually have it down at my bar studio in the. Do you see how I said bar? I said bar first. My bar studio in the basement there. It's sitting by the bar, so I have a chunk of the wall of CBGB.
Rob Ruckus,
Nick Collins,
Kate Clover,
Keith Semple,
Isaiah Mitchell,
Billy Harvey,
Tim Howard. Check it out, Almost Famous Magazine.
Hey everyone, welcome back to The Hang, brought to you by Almost Famous Magazine. I'm your host, Scott Saldinger. Thank you for joining us. We're the place to come and hang with artists, go deep into their stories well beyond just knowing their music. If you're new to the channel, thank you for joining us. Please do us a favor. You know what to do. Subscribe, ring the bell so you know about future episodes, all the good stuff. If you've been here before and you're coming back and you haven't told your friends about us, I have no idea what you're waiting for, but you came back for something, so please help us out. Also, if you prefer to take your podcast on the go, you can get us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, anywhere you get your audio podcasts. Today on The Hang, I've got Bruce Wojick. Did I get it correct? Wojcik?
Wojcik.
I got it correct. Bruce Wojick of Bruce Wojick and the Struggle. We're going to find out what the struggle is. He brings a hard-edge roots rock sound to the fans, built for fans of like the Black Crowes, Blackstone Cherry, Lynyrd Skynyrd, even like the soulful punch of Huey Lewis. Those four are in good company with Bruce. From his independent releases of God's Children to his new album, The Hard Way, Bruce's journey is the story of an artist who keeps pushing, touring, writing, ultimately turning music into his full-time life. So let's get into the grit, the heart, and the road-tested stories behind all the songs and Bruce's career. Bruce, welcome to The Hang.
Thanks for having me, Scott. Pleasure to be here. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. I kind of feel bad though, because you're in Buffalo, New York. I grew up in Rochester, and I don't have like a Goo Goo Dolls shirt, or maybe one of those legendary Sky Coasters, Nick and the Nice Guys shirts. So I'm doing my best I can representing with a great band from Scotland. Go figure. But
there you go.
Do we want to start with, I don't know, Duff's Wings and Garbage Plates, or should we get into like your musical journey first?
Wow, if we're going to go down a food road, then we're going to be in good shape. So one thing, yes, Buffalo, but I'm actually in Niagara Falls, New York. So you know where that is, about 20 minutes, if that, from Buffalo.
Well, so you've probably been on the Maid of the Mist.
You want to laugh, bro? I've lived here my whole life, except for very few other places, and I've never been on the Maid of the Mist. And here's something incredibly funny. My mother, God bless her, is 82 years old, and she still in the summer sells tours to like go around the falls, which includes the Maid of the Mist and that kind of thing. I just called her and I said, Lucy, her name's Lucille. I said, Lucy, I'm going to be on this interview here. And, because she'll call me every, her shift is like 4 to 7. She'll call me and she's like, it's dead here today. And I'm like, and this is great too. She said yesterday she was doing the thing there and somebody said, oh, are you security? Now, if you saw my mom, you know what I mean, bro? Like 82, she's got like this purple hair. She uses a purple hair color. She's just delicious. But anyway, yeah. So no, I've never been on the Maid of the Mist after all that.
Well, so that next to my next question: have you been to the Cave of the Winds? I mean, we can go deep into Niagara Falls tourist spots if you want, but
I have.
You've
done. I have done the Cave of the Winds. Yes, I've done the Cave of the Winds. And yeah, but back to the food. Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about wings and crazy enough, growing up here though, I like wings, but like I'm more of a pizza guy, right? We got some of the best pizza. Like it's just incredible, So anyway,
that is true. That is true. I lived in Buffalo before Rochester. I lived in the Boulevard Towers, as a matter of fact, back in the day. But we'll get to that stuff later. We're here to actually talk about you and your career and your life. So the way that I like to get these things kicked off, if we're not talking foods, tourism, etc., is to go back to the start of like your musical journey. when your relationship with music started. Tell me the story of the genesis of your musical relationship to where it's gotten you today, and then we'll go from there.
Easy, and I'll try to summarize and make it quick. It's all I've ever wanted to do with my life ever since I was single digits. I go places with my parents or my grandparents. I grew up with my grandparents, and they'd put me in a room with one of the kids of somewhere where they'd be visiting, and there was a few and my cousin Frank. Um, they just turned me on to music when I was very young. So all I wanted to do was go sit in these people's rooms and listen to music while everybody was out there playing cards or whatever they were doing. So I basically started there. And, I can remember going down the street and one of the neighbors, their sons had on Kiss Alive on the porch. And I was like, oh my God, what is that? So that's what turned me on to like Kiss at an early age. But it was all Elton John and Paul McCartney and Wings, but it's all I ever wanted to do. So as I got a little older, I think I was 13, maybe 14 when I wrote my first song. I'll give you one guess what that song was about. Go.
Pizza.
What would be your other guess?
Pizza or Wings or Niagara Falls. Take your pick. Girls.
A girl. Girls. Yeah. So anyway, so I wrote my first song. I mean, even before I wrote my first song, I said to myself, wanting to do this, starting to play guitar and all of that, I'm like, well, I think you got to write your songs because, I knew people were out there just playing other people's songs, but I'm like, I don't think I think you got to, it's just standard equipment for what this is to write songs. So I started writing songs at like 13 or 14. And then, I had a little high school band, and then, it was basically got serious in like 1990, where that was the band you had mentioned earlier, God's Children, and we weren't a religious band. It was just sort of a name that we thought was cool at the time, and so that band lasted, almost the whole decade of the 90s, and we did some great things, man. We used to play CBGB all the time and showcase for labels there, and did some, a bunch of touring, and we put out, how many records? I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4 records, maybe 4 and 5 with an EP or something, but got close to getting a deal, didn't get a deal. The guitar player who I still talk to, we still get together and do like a show once a year actually with that band. And so the other guitar player and songwriter, Peter Ajamian, we wrote all the songs together. We figured we'd do like a Lennon McCartney kind of thing and just write all the songs. And he ended up going to law school at the end of the 90s there. And so he's actually an entertainment lawyer now in Vegas, and crazy. Of course, he helps me with my career in terms of being an attorney, an entertainment attorney. But so after the God's Children thing, I started this band called Clear with a K because we thought that was cool too with the K, and that did really well. We put out I think another 4 records with maybe 1 or 2 EPs in there. We ended up getting signed to Robbie Takac, speaking of the Goo Goo Dolls, the bass player. He started a label called Good Carmel Records in like 2002, maybe 3. And so he signed us, and we made a record with him that he produced, and things were going really good. I mean, man, that band was, we had a station in Canada, a couple stations here, even in Buffalo, like playing our stuff, like not just like, once in the overnight, but like really playing it, which was just fantastic. So did great with that too. We ended up playing CBGBs with that band. We ended up playing the Viper Room in Hollywood, the Whiskey we played. And again, did a little touring. And then, of course, the old classic Behind the Music tale where the singer thought it was time for him to go out on his own. So we actually kept up. We got another singer, put out another record, which is actually 20 years old. That record came out in 2006. So we're thinking about, actually we are going to put it out like a remastered version of it, maybe with some extra track or 2. And then that band lasted probably till about 2010. And we did get back together with the original singer in 2016 and put out a record called Eyes Wide Open. And so it was in 2011, though, where I said to myself, I need to do my own thing. It's time for me to do my own thing. So it was 2011 when I put out my first solo record, which was just called Bruce Wojick. And you have to agree that Wojcik is probably one of the best showbiz names of all time.
Oh yeah, it rolls off the tongue. It's easy to pronounce. It just rolls off the tongue.
I don't know if you'll be able to hear this, but this is great. Alexa, play songs by Bruce Wojick.
Made for you on Amazon Music.
Oh, don't do this to me now. Okay, so Alexa, stop the music. Okay, so I don't know what the hell she just played, but it wasn't me. But usually she will say, I cannot find that on Amazon Music, because you have to say it like this, Wojcik or something like that. It's this ethnic thing, you know. So I blew that one, bro. I should have changed my last name for showbiz a long time ago, but I didn't. So 2011, first solo record, and then the next record was Bruce Wojick and the Struggle, and it's been that way ever since. So basically, here I am. There you go. It was the God's Children in the 90s, Clear in the early 2000s, and then my own stuff from 2011 till here we are today. I'm 111 years old, Scott.
I'm wondering, I mean, so when I left Rochester, I was managing a band with Avalon, and we went to New York and spent many an evening at CBGB's. I wonder what the statistical odds are that you were playing one of those nights. You never know. We could have been in the same place at the same time.
Absolutely. Now, let me ask you something. Do you remember a woman by the name of Louise at CB's that was like, she was the one Louise. That I would.
Yeah. No, I know exactly.
Yeah. She was a tough bird, man. And she was the one that I knew her from the God's Children period. So when Clear was doing it, but anyway, yeah. She was a tough one there, you know. Who is it? All right, whatever.
Yeah, and then she got hit by called by so many people, and that's before we had digital note taking and all this other stuff. That she you talked to her on a Monday and she'd forget you by Tuesday. So
yes,
you really had to work to make an impression on her, because I used to try to get had to work to get Avalon booked. Yep. So yeah, no, I totally remember her. Wow. Now we're going back. Now I'm thinking about last year. I think I watched the CBGB movie. Like for the second or third time. Love that film. Love that place. So
hey, one more thing, Scott. I don't mean to cut you, but one more thing about CB's, which is really cool. At some point in the 90s, when we were playing there, one of the road crew guys, you remember the walls in CB. I mean, just was, so he took a piece of drywall. I don't know how he took it, but, with like the graffiti on there. And so I actually have it down at my bar studio in the, do you see how I said bar? I said bar first. My bar studio in the basement there. It's sitting by the bar. So I have a chunk of the wall of CBGB.
Wow.
There.
That's some history. That's impressive.
For what it's worth.
History. So I want to go back though to you heard this music. You were sitting around with friends, hanging out with people exposing you to music, and you wanted to do it, right? But what was it like getting to the point from not knowing how to do it to doing it? Did you get lessons? Did you just pick up an instrument and figure it out? Like, did you study music? I mean, how did that start to happen so that you could get to the point and have the skills to start writing the songs that you wanted to get out?
Well, the first thing was my mom got me a guitar, and then I had my first lesson. It's funny. I'm left-handed, so I do everything left-handed, but except like I golf right-handed, hockey right-handed. Not that I play hockey. I bat right-handed, that kind of thing. But throw, eat, write, all of that left-handed. So at an early age, when I would play air guitar before I got a real guitar, it was left-handed. And so when my mom got me the first guitar, she got me a lesson, and the guy, and I see him once in a while. and I thank him for this. Actually, I sat down. I only lasted 2 weeks with him, 2 lessons, because he was at my age. I was probably, I don't know, 10. He was a bit abrasive for me. So I sat down, put the guitar left-handed, and he goes, "No, turn around." So he made me turn it around, and that was it. I just like that. I never went back to playing left-handed. I actually, not that playing guitar left-handed isn't cool, because obviously Jimi Hendrix, and I always think of the guy from the Cars. I always think, I can't remember his name. Elliot Easton, right, from the Cars.
Yeah, Elliot. Yep, Elliot Easton. Yeah.
Yeah. But I was just glad, as I look back on it, I was glad that he did that, because I mean, it just really wasn't a easy for left-handed guitars back in the day, and me trying to string one up the other, whatever. So anyway, I lasted 2 weeks with him, and then I started taking lessons with a guy that was actually right down the street that my grandparents knew, and maybe a couple of years with him, and then that was about it. You know what I mean? Like, I just, I wasn't really a good reader of music. I could read, I mean, if I really applied myself, but even back then and even now, I'm not really a practicing kind of person. I don't know. I'm just not that kind of a thing where guys like who sit for hours and just, do that. But so, I mean, I just, again, I knew that you had to write songs, and it was all about the riff, right? It's all about this, just coming up with a riff on the guitar and then singing something over it in its basic form. So I just started to do that and try to take from things that I liked, and it just sort of happened, crazy as it sounds.
All right, nice. No, it's always interesting to learn someone's story about, how did it come together? I mean, I took music lessons from the time I was, in elementary school, and I struggled with I certainly don't have perfect pitch, so like, taking classes and having to listen to the separation of notes and figuring out and getting that was a nightmare. I could never just notate from somebody playing something. Still can't. So it's always interesting to learn how people do, because I don't know if there's a better way, right? You go through and you learn all the theory and it technically, or you do it yourself and you figure it out and then you apply yourself to it. I had a guest on recently, Leah, where she created her own way to note take music. And even though she ended up getting educated in it, she goes back to that all the time, and like everyone in her band had to learn her way. Like they were all serious trained musicians. Everybody had to go back and learn how what she would draw a line down the middle of a page, and she'd have like where your fingers go on each side type of thing. So it's always interesting to what matters is you get there. Does it really matter what you learn to get there, as long as you make it your own? And it certainly sounds like you have. So you decided to go out solo, and now you've kind of, got a new album out. You've got, The Hard Way. Tell me about the album. How long did it take you, especially, I think it's been if you said, was it 2011 you went on your own roughly?
Yeah.
So, what's that journey been like? Putting together your solo project, putting your stamp on it. What has that been like for you? And has it given you the creative freedom you really were looking for?
Yeah, definitely has. It's given me that freedom without a doubt. And I've sort of shifted, nothing crazy, but like when I first started doing it, I was like, I first went on my own, the first record, I was like, maybe trying to do, I don't want to use the term Americana, but just something like that. But you know what? It always for me, I always come back to a rock guy, man. I'm just a rock guy at the end of the day, the stuff that I love to play and love to do. But, so yeah, I mean, I definitely have that freedom. I love where it's evolved to from the first record till now. And I think this record, The Hard Way, I'm proud of it, man. I really am. It's just a great chunk of where I'm at, where I've been, where I'm going to. I am. I'm really proud of it, man. And I'm just, I'm proud of the guys in the band so much. I mean, there's been a couple member changes through the years. Nothing crazy. The core has remained the same. Well, crazy enough, the bass player and the drummer, Leo McDonald on bass, Denny Pelzinski on drums. Pelzinski and Wojcik, we should do it like a duo and serve pierogi, you know. But
That's a law firm. That's a law firm name. That is definitely a law firm name.
yes. We'll get you $350,000 and all the sauerkraut you can eat. But those two guys and the keyboard player Dan Delano were all in clear with me. So the band in the early from 2000 to 2016, pretty much. So they've been in. A matter of fact, Leo was in God's Children with me. So I've been playing with Leo since 1990. Crazy enough.
Wow.
But a couple of member changes. Will Holton is in the band too. Saxophone. My man Will is a brother. He started doing things with Clear actually, and that's how we built the relationship with. I built a relationship with Will. But I did have another guitar player in the band. For the first couple records, Jamie Hulka. And me and Jamie been doing an acoustic duo together, just out there working for 26 years, crazy enough. And Jamie was in the band for a while. Jamie was actually the one that The Struggle, we love Keith Richards, we love the Stones. And so on the first Keith Richards solo album, third track on the record, Talk is Cheap, it's called Struggle. So Jamie said to me one day, man, that's cool. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. He said, we should have it for the name of the band. I'm like, that's a great idea. So he even busts my balls now and says, like, hey man, I'm not in the band anymore, but I gave you the name. Like, you know what I mean? And Jamie ties into the new record too, and we'll get to that a little later because he's a brother and I love him dearly. But so I don't know if I answered your question. I sort of went a little bit, but
well, no, I mean, you definitely gave some love to the guys in the band for sure, and they do deserve a lot of credit. I mean, what a lot of people don't realize is no one gets there alone, and you need that, right? You need other people,
Absolutely.
You need other influence, things like that. I want to talk through the album though, and I look at albums a little differently than many, because you typically you've got at least a couple songs you'll pick, and there'll be a single, maybe two singles off an album. But I'm always interested in, is there one song on the album that is absolutely your favorite, whether it was to be a single or not? But is there one on there that really is like, defines the album, and you're just like, if I could only play one, which one would it be? Right? Which one do you love? Which of those children do you love the most?
That's you think I'd have an absolute just fast answer to that, and I would have to say Louder Than Concord, I think. Louder Than Concord. I mean, even though it's a little bit more of a mellow song in terms of the rock edge, Louder Than Concord. Probably Louder Than Concord. Yeah.
Why is that your choice, and why does it mean that much to you?
I felt it. They all came out great, but I felt Louder Than Concord. It just, when we got done with that, I was like, wow, me and most of the record was recorded with a guy. His name is Johnny Helms. He's moved to Chicago now, but Johnny engineered and mixed most, like 95% of the record, everything but two songs. And he was like, Bruce, this is like one of the coolest things that I've done, and the song's about the first show I ever went to, first concert. And it just hits me, hard, but it just, that song too is an old song that actually had evolved a little bit to where it is now. And it finally found the proper home. So I would say Louder Than Concord, actually. That's it. That's the one, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, do you have a song on the album that, since you've put it out and people have had a chance, what's like everybody, what are people going, okay, gravitating toward, right? Like when people go, oh, this to them is standout. Is there like one or two tracks that stand out to people who have listened to it who are fans?
Yep. Um, in no order, the two would be the last song on the record, "Watching the Sky Turn Blue," and the title track, "The Hard Way." Those would be the two.
Okay.
I guess I'd have to. I'm sorry, bro. I guess I'd have to put "More Time" in there as well, which is the first song on the record.
Yeah, but the last song is, what was it? The last song on the album?
Yes, it's called "Watching the Sky Turn Blue."
Now, okay. Now, I want you to tell me the story of that song, because you live in a part of the country where, the sky's gray for about 6.5, 7, maybe 8 months out of the year. You don't get a lot of blue sky days. Let's be honest. The clouds come over the lake. So tell me about that song.
It was the last song done for the record. Wasn't even supposed to be on the record. The record was supposed to include 3 cover songs. It was supposed to include a version of "Nasty Dogs and Funky Kings" by ZZ Top. It was supposed to include a version of "Champagne and Reefer" by Muddy Waters, a revved up version of that. And it was supposed to include a song called "Welfare Music" by a band called the Bottle Rockets. And the label said, you know what, don't want to do the cover songs, want all original tracks. So at the last minute, "Watching the Sky Turn Blue," the music was actually written by my brother Joshua, who lives in Detroit. And he had sent me the music, just the music, a different arrangement, but close to it, maybe a year and a half before I recorded it. And listening to that stuff, just down having a beer, at one point, I just had this chorus, and it was "Watching the Sky Turn Blue." And yes, you're correct. We have gray sky a lot here, man. But it was just the first thing as a songwriter. I'm sure I share this with other songwriters. It was just the first thing that came into my head, "Watching the Sky Turn Blue," and this melody that I had. So again, I turned to that piece of music. I wrote. Me and the band had fleshed it out, a little bit of a different arrangement, and I wrote a complete lyric, which was based on, things are going to get better, that kind of thing. Watching the sky turn blue. Don't you wish, there's a line in there that said, "Wouldn't it be great if everybody took the high road?" Well, that's why they call it wishing, right? So we pulled that together fast, and we recorded that with Steve Padden recorded that. And I'm in a side project. You heard of a band called the Strictly Hip? I'm sorry, the Tragically Hip. You familiar with a band called the Tragically Hip?
Oh, hang on, I coughed and I muted myself.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Yes, I know the Tragically Hip. How can you grow up at least that close to Canada without knowing about the Tragically Hip?
Of course, I forgot the Rochette. Right. So crazy enough, I've been in a band for about 16 years now called the Strictly Hip, and we do all their stuff, right? Oh, and it's cool. Really grown. It's really grown to something really, really cool. I mean, we get to do some really cool stuff. We just played our 4th show with the Buffalo Philharmonic Orchestra. So we just did that in Kleinhans Music Hall. You're familiar with Kleinhans?
Remember back in Buffalo? Yep.
So anyway, besides the point, Steve is the drummer in the Strictly Hip, and he's got a little studio. And I said, "Steve, man, I got no time, man. Can you help me do this? I'll have my brother send you the file." And so we put that together, and Steve actually played the drums on it and recorded it, and that's how that song came about. And it just really. It was done really fast, but it's really cool. People seem to enjoy it a lot. I get a lot of comments about that particular song.
Nice. Yeah. Now, we live in a world these days. You and I kind of probably grew up in a different time when you get that new record right? I remember, coming home from the mall or the house of guitars. You've got a brand new record in front of you. You get your friends over. You put it down. Everybody's like scrambling to read the lyrics and the liner notes, and you started it, and everybody was just immersed. And
Yep.
Although it's coming back, vinyl and that type of listening is coming back. My niece loves listening to records. People tend to shuffle around. So, given that this is an introduction to our audience of you, right? Looking at
Yeah.
your catalog, right? Let's look at your solo catalog, right?
Mhm.
Are there a couple of songs within that entire catalog that if someone was going to be introduced to you and you said, look, start here, these
Mhm.
two songs really define me. If you like this, it's kind of like, bellying up for it. You get your appetizer before the full meal, but you want to get to the meal. Do you have a
Yep.
couple of songs in your catalog that you feel really are where people, could start to get to know you as an artist?
Yeah. On the first record, there's a song called "Worried Sick." That's definitely one of them. "Worried Sick." There's another one on that record called "Cheap Wine." And then I'd probably end with there's an EP we put out in 2017. Man, time's flying by. Called "In the Morning." And I'd probably say those three are a great cross section, uh, not including the new record,
No,
obviously, but those three right there, yeah, are
nice.
yeah, those are the ones, And you
Well,
know what
we
I
have.
should say too.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I was just going to say all these things that I'm mentioning. Even the band from the '90s, God's Children, Clear in the 2000s, and of course the older records of mine, the solo stuff. Um, they're all out there, digitally. Just if anybody wanted to take a listen to any of that stuff, but
We'll put the links down below for sure. We want to
yeah,
make it
yeah, yeah, yeah.
easily accessible
But
for sure.
but those songs, yeah, man, Scott, those songs there. I mean, "Worried Sick" is just a fan favorite. That one just really, still proud of that song. Might even re-record it with somebody in the next year, maybe. Um, "Cheap Wine" is just a fan favorite as well. And then "In the Morning," another one. I mean, is those are the three I would say. Yeah.
Okay. Now, you told me a story you of, was it 13, 14 years first started writing songs, bunch of bands, ups, downs, playing some great venues, almost getting record deals, not getting record deals, all that stuff. Throughout this
Mm-hmm.
journey that you've had, have you had like that kind of, is there a moment where you were like, had an aha moment, just pinched me. I set out to accomplish this, and in this moment, I truly feel like it's all come together for me the way that I'd hoped to. It could have been a moment in a studio, on a stage, somebody who's a
Yeah.
fan telling you that. But have you had that moment, and what was that moment for you?
Yeah, a couple of them. Again, in no particular order. I'll go band by band, moving into solo thing. In the '90s, I think the first time God's Children played CBGB was one of those moments. Um, Knowing that a couple label people were out there watching, it was one of those moments. Didn't get the deal, but then in Clear, I think again we were really excited about Robbie Takac from the Goo Goo Dolls signing us to his label that he started at the time. And two things in that era. One is probably playing the Viper Room and the Whiskey. I'll include those together. The Viper Room was just a glorious night, bro. I mean, we got there, it's just packed. Keanu Reeves' band was playing as well, so they were on the bill. It just was glorious. It was just a great July night in Hollywood, and it just was, unbelievable. The Whiskey, the same thing. It was great, just a great night. And then one other thing in the Clear era. I mean, I've been blessed to, within God's Children, Clear, and my solo stuff, been blessed to play with so many people, open up for so many people. bands and artists. And I'm a huge Stones fan, obviously. I'm a just huge Stones fan, huge Keith Richards fan. So in 2002, we get told by our manager that we're going to open up for Chuck Berry. So again, I'm totally I don't know when I really started getting in the Stones, somewhere there in the early 90s, and then I just go down this Keith Richards thing. I mean, even playing guitar, my buddy Jamie, who I mentioned, who I do that duo with, he, he goes, well, what'd you do all night? You just do, elbow things, like Keith does, and he goes, you throw elbows all night? And I'm like, hell yeah, I did. But anyway, so just a huge Keith fan. And, with the expensive winos and just Keith, I love Keith so much. And I know he's, Chuck Berry's his guy, that's his idol, So I'd seen Hail, Hail, Rock and Roll, the movie, many times. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you've seen it. So we get this, manager says we're going to open up for Chuck Berry. And so this is, I don't know, 4 months before the show. It's a summer show in Buffalo. It was like a Harley Davidson 100th anniversary show. They had 2 days. One day was Chuck Berry. One day was Blues Traveler. We get to Chuck Berry, thank God. Nothing against Blues Traveler, but I'll take Chuck Berry all the way. I'm like, I can't flippin' believe that we're going to, and so all I think about is getting to the day. And I'm not an autograph person, never have been. If I can get a photo with somebody and it just happens organically, that's cool. But I've never been one to, again, been blessed, man. We've opened, the solo bands open up for Heart. We've opened up for Boston. We've opened up for, oh my God, somebody else. But everybody always asks me, did you get a picture? Did you get a picture? I'm like, I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not going to, whatever. If it happens, it happens. Anyway, Chuck Berry. I'm like leading into the show and by myself, just, as the days and evenings go by, I'm by myself thinking about it. I'm like, man, if I can get a picture with him, I'm getting a picture with Chuck Berry. If I can get him to sign my guitar, I'm gonna have him sign my guitar. And if I can meet him, right? Like just all of the above. I'm like, I'm sure none of this will happen. None of it's gonna happen. Get to day of show. And again, Hail, Hail, Rock and Roll. You remember in the film, he drives himself to gigs. He never has a band, right? He always has just some band in town play with him. I'm like, I just can't wait to see what's going to happen here. Well, day of show, beautiful summer day in Buffalo. It's right by City Hall. They call that Niagara Square. So the stage is whatever, facing a certain way, and they have this section of a street blockaded off. That's basically where all the support act was, crew, blah, blah, blah. So they have it barricaded off. Nobody can get back there. So we're sitting there. We're just sitting in the van, in our van, wasting time. We already loaded in. We did whatever we did. And I see a police car come to up where the street is and take the barricade off. And here comes, I don't know if it was a Cadillac. I don't know if it was a Lincoln Continental. I think it was a Lincoln Continental. Comes in. And I'm like, son of a bitch, man. That's Chuck Berry, man. That is Chuck Berry. So he pulls right by our van and then pulls into a spot. And our manager, Rich Brown, love Rich, passed away during the COVID thing. And I miss him so much, man. But he was the best. He always gave us the best plow. But he's right there when Chuck pulls in. He ends up opening the door for him, right? And I see this. I'm in the van. And I go, get out of the way. Get out of the van. And I don't run there, but I walk briskly because I don't want to alarm Chuck Berry. And I get over there and Rich goes, our manager goes, hey, this is Bruce. He plays guitar. We're going to be, playing with you tonight, opening up for you. And he goes, oh, hey, how you doing? And this is the best guy. You know what Chuck Berry says to me, or to me and Rich? He says, man, it's good to see those guys in front of me for a change. The police car.
Very
I'll
appropriate. Very appropriate.
Dude, it was so good, man, So so anyway, and I don't know when it was. I don't know if it was after a little bit of conversation with him, nothing crazy, right? Just meet the guy. Or maybe I went back to him at some point briefly after that, but I was like, Mr. Berry, I don't want to bother you, but man, if you could sign my guitar, that would be amazing. And he said to me, I'll sign yours, but I'm not signing anybody else's. Fair enough. Fantastic. I don't think I went and got the guitar at that point, but I can't remember where I got the guitar, Gibson Les Paul. And he ends up signing the back, Scott. And obviously I still have the guitar. And he said, this is 2002. And he signs it, Chuck Berry, smiley face, 2009. 2009. And I'm like, is it possible he doesn't know what year it is? This can't be, right? Can't be. And then I said, well, maybe he does something like that on purpose because he thinks I'm going to sell it or something. Like, I don't know, to devalue it. I don't know. Signs it 2009. So anyway, so I meet him, number one. Number two, he signs my guitar. And within that too, all before the show, he's in a hospitality tent. And guess what he's eating? Chicken wings.
Chicken wings.
He's eating chicken wings.
When in Buffalo, right?
And so a great friend of mine, Harry Skull, who's been a staff photographer for the Buffalo News for years and years and years. He sees me. I'm sort of right by the hospitality tent. Chuck's in there by himself eating wings. And I look at Harry and he looks at me. And of course, Harry, every time you see Harry, he's got his camera. It's attached to his face. He's like, go over, go. So I went over there and I gotta grab this. Can I just take 2 seconds? I should have been, I gotta grab this.
All right.
1 second. Give me 1 second.
You run and grab, and we'll I have a feeling I know what this is gonna be. Let's see.
All right, my man. I'm coming.
You got it? You're coming up from the basement, right. Aren't you? All right.
I did. Well, that's what we have here in Western New York. We have these. We don't have
basements. We don't have basements in Texas. So I walked when I first bought my first house here. I was opening doors, going, "Where's the door to the basement?" And there weren't any. So show me what you got.
So Harry goes, "Go in there," and I get in there, and I get next to Chuck, and I got one of my prized possessions in my life.
What is he?
Oh, I'm trying to.
Awesome. That's absolutely awesome. I'm excited for that for you. That's awesome. That's great.
So back to your question. That day to me was absolutely, and what's crazy is that a guy by the name of Dave Holland, who was doing our front of house, at the end of that day was crazy because I had 3 shows that day. I had 2 shows with Clear, and then I ended the day back here in Niagara Falls playing with Jamie Hulka, who I just mentioned to you a few times, at a freaking hotel lounge. So I went from I don't know, it was definitely 20,000 people plus, crazy enough, for this event that they had in Buffalo, this Harley Davidson thing, playing with Chuck Berry, doing that. Then Clear had another show at this mall that was a vacant mall that they turned into a venue that lasted like 2 weeks. But they had I think we opened up for either Theory of a Dead Man, a Canadian band. Pretty sure it was them. We ended up doing a show with them. There was probably, 500 people. And then I went to the hotel lounge and played in front of probably 25 to 30 people, all in the same day. And by the time I got home, man, I was like, where's the bong and where's the beer? And man, and I ended up calling Dave, our front of house guy. I go, Dave, he still plays it for me when I see him sometimes, this voice message from me just screwed up out of my mind. Dave, this was the best day ever, man. It was so great, Dave. It was just the best, man. And yeah, that day was incredible, man. So I'd have to say those days there. I mean, going into actually, I just gave you some God's Children and Clear stuff, but I mean, solo wise, I'd have to say probably some of those things that I just mentioned. I remember when we opened up for Boston, I'm like, man, I remember listening to that as a kid, that first record, right? I'm like, I can't believe that we're opening up for Boston, man, crazy. Heart too. I mean, opening up for the Wilson sisters. I mean, it was just nuts, you know. So I've been blessed, man. I've been, you know, again, hey, you know, I'm not Taylor Swift, but I've been blessed.
Yeah, well, you know, you look like a Swiftie, and that's enough. I'm sure you were in the front row for her last tour.
I
That's
didn't,
a great
I don't
story.
understand.
Great story. Great story. Um, let's let me ask you this then, because you brought up a number of artists, and you've got a ton of different influences. And I love putting things out in the universe so that in the event a connection is made, you never know what kind of magic happens from it.
Hmm.
So, if you had the chance to get in a studio for one day with one other musician, it could be to write a song together, to learn from one another,
Hmm.
just create, just to watch how they work, whatever.
Hmm.
Who would that person be and why them? You get one choice. So why this individual? Who's at the top of your list?
That's easy. Keith Richards.
Okay.
Keith Richards. Keith Richards, and you know, again, if there was my next go to, my favorite guitar player of all time. I mean, Keith is what, but we're just so different ends of the spectrum. Um, Eddie Van Halen, who is gone. I mean, again, I grew up on Van Halen, man. That to me was so, you know. But Keith Richards, to answer your question, Keith Richards, I would just love to, you know. There's a song that I wrote called "Back on Track." It's on the EP that we put out in 2017. Love that song. Not a lot of people have heard it. Like to redo it, actually. That was my attempt at really doing a Keith kind of thing, you know, like just that. And so Keith Richards, I would give anything to be able to be with him and write a song together, record it. I mean, I just been listening. I'm sure you heard the new Stones track or two,
Hmm.
and I'm just like, I mean, right off the bat, right? It's in the first 10 seconds. You got the thing, woo, and there's a bow now 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 now. You hear that thing in there, right? Bow now 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 now. And I'm like, oh my god, man. I mean, it's just, bam. You know, I nobody to me. I mean, again, plays like Keith. Keith by no means, you and I know, is not some, you know, he's no Al Di Meola or some, you know, insane accomplished musician. That's got nothing to do with it. The
He
beauty of
knows a
it
good
is
lick.
that
He
it's
knows a good lick. He can
the
write a good
beauty
lick.
of it is that it's not that. It's that
No.
he's got his thing. I try to tell young people too, like who are ask me some advice. I'm like, well, I don't know if you want to ask me advice, but one thing I can say is just try to find your lane. Try to do your thing. You know, you hear Keith Richards play, that's Keith Richards. And I know that's a crazy example because it's Keith and the Stones, but some of the biggest compliments I get about playing guitar is that, oh, I knew that was you. I know that's you playing, you know, and that's the biggest compliment. But Keith Richards,
And that's the key to being distinct, right? So that you do stand out in a crowd, especially in today's day and age where, I mean, music is so accessible, and it's everywhere, and everyone can record now. So it's how do you find whatever your secret sauce is going to be, and then get the most people to recognize that it's the secret sauce. That said, because you know Keith is around, anybody watching, if you know Keith, maybe you're on the team that keeps him in such good health. I don't know. This guy is going to go on long after I think the rest of us. Hook Bruce up. Let's make his dream come true. You just never know what happens when you put it out there, and the phone might just ring. So you never know.
uh, Keith and Chuck Berry. I mean, I got Chuck Berry. I mean, again, didn't get to write a song with him. But then again, if you remember going back to the film "Hail Hail Rock and Roll," remember the classic in the film where Keith can't get it the right jive, and Chuck's going, no, 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 you got
Do it
to
this way.
do it like this. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, but yeah. Oh my God, yeah. Somebody out there, please let me.
All right.
You know, I'll just watch Keith and smoke cigarettes and just watch him.
Well, I mean, everybody watching now has their assignment. Now, look, I'm a big proponent of supporting uh, artists. Now more than ever, this stuff doesn't come for free. And for what it's worth, there's one Taylor Swift, and there are millions of other artists trying to get noticed and try to make a living and sell, whether it's a record, a ticket to a show, a piece of merch. We've got to help do our part to help all of that keep going, because things like Spotify just aren't going to make anybody as wealthy as the music business used to be. So that being said, we're going to have a ton of the links down below where you can buy Bruce's music. You can help support his musical journey. And if you're in the Western New York, Buffalo area and you see that he's performing, go buy a damn ticket. Just go buy a ticket and enjoy the music. Show a little love to those artists that you're making an investment. It's your time, it's your effort, your energy, and the love that you give to an artist by supporting them is given to you back in great art. So the links will be below. Make sure you go do that. Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, we were, I don't know, we'll pick a place, having a beer at the Penny Arcade. Remember the Penny Arcade?
We played there, yeah.
So we're sitting there having a beer, and we're talking about music, and you're like, Scott, when I'm not making my own music lately, I've just been listening to this artist or that artist. Whether it's, if you go to the gym, you walk the dog, you're out shoveling snow, perhaps, if you, that happens every now and then where you live. But are there some artists that you're listening to now on a pretty good rotation that you're like, man, I'm just digging this stuff, and you got to check them out?
I mean, unfortunately, there's nobody really new that's coming to mind. I just mentioned the new Stones. I've been listening to that the 2 tracks a lot in the last week, if that. Crazy enough, I've been on a Thin Lizzy kick.
Huh. Nice.
I'm a big Thin Lizzy fan, and I've just been
the boys are back
revisiting. What's that? The boys are back. Yeah.
The boys are back.
So I've been listening to Thin Lizzy, and I mean, geez, I'm trying to think of something newer, but man, I
got one for you then. I'm going to give you one you got to check out. I got it on heavy rotation. The new Social Distortion album is absolutely incredible. The new Social Distortion, what Mike D's doing. I saw them at Punk Rock Bowling a year ago, closing out the festival. And my God, this is their greatest album. And I know it's like, for them, 10 years is a span, I think, this since their last album, but this might be one of their best albums ever. So check out the new Social Distortion.
What's funny about you saying that is that I mentioned the Strictly Hip, which is the band that plays the Tragically Hip that I've been in for quite a while. And the lead singer, Jeremy, is a big fan of Social Distortion. And within the last month, give or take, Late Night Conversation, as we have a lot. Have you heard the new Social D record? Dude, I'm telling you, you really need to hear it because it's really great. So you're the second one. So I will absolutely take a listen to it. Absolutely.
It's going to blow your mind. I mean, and the cool thing is, I was the first listen through, I hear this intro, I'm like, wait a minute. This isn't Social Distortion. They cover Wicked Game by Chris Isaacs. And with Mike's voice, absolutely, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Yeah. You got to check that out. So that's one for you to check out. How's the Buffalo music scene these days, by the way? Like, how's the Buffalo music scene? Because I know they've,
it's good, but I mean, the thing is, I don't, it's not like, I don't think I'm keyed in enough maybe on some of the younger bands maybe, because like, again, I just go back in my mind to the 90s. The 90s for the scene was so vibrant in terms of people writing and recording their own stuff. I mean, there was so many great bands, even in the 2000s as well. But like, I don't know. I just, again, maybe I'm just checked out a little bit of, I'm just not there, I'm sort of in my world and I'm not getting it, but it's always good. But I'm nostalgic, and I just think back, like I say, in the 90s, I could name so many bands that you wouldn't know in the 90s that, like, man, such good stuff. I mean, and everybody was playing, people were going out to see them, that kind of thing. So, I'm not gonna say the scene is not good. I'm just gonna sort of check out and go, I might not have a pulse on, that kind of thing. My son's a great drummer, and he had a band a few years back called 77 Stone, and they were young. I mean, my son was only, 15. 16, and then the other guys were just a year older. But they ended up playing a lot of things that we were sort of doing. It wasn't like there was a place like specifically for like younger bands. And I don't mean that young, maybe, but in their early 20s or something like that. But Buffalo's always great, Scott. It really is. I mean, again, you can do your thing, and there's just still some great venues in Buffalo to play. So,
and you know what? I mean, what are you going to do, especially during the winter? Go see a band play. Go out and see a band play, and then on the 3 sunny days of the summer, you go out and you see them play outdoors. Here's what we're going to do. One of these days, I'm going to get myself back up to Rochester. I'm overdue for a trip. Maybe I'll make a side trip down to Buffalo. It's not that hell. Buffalo's closer to Rochester than I'm in Dallas. Sometimes Fort Worth seems like it's 3 hours away. So we'll probably crack a beer open at some point down the road.
I'd love
for
that.
sure, Bruce.
I love that.
This has been great getting to know you. You keep me up to date on what's going on with you. And we're bound to probably do this again. And maybe we'll get the guys in the band on, and they can talk some smack about the guy who leads it all. You never know.
That'd be great. But hey, Scott, if I could just real fast, man, I just mentioned my son, and it triggered me into something real fast. I just want to mention a few things about the record that I didn't talk about.
Sure.
And that's just some of besides the core guys in the band playing on the record. There's a few other people that played on the record that I just want to mention real fast. One is my son. My son's name is Vito. That was my grandfather's name. I grew up on the Italian side of the family. And so when we named him, certain people were like, Vito Wojcik. Like, wow, that's I said, mind your own freaking business. Okay. It's my deal. Anyway, but Vito, the first song on the record, More Time.
Very drummer name.
Vito.
Very drummer name.
But More Time is Vito on the drums. And we co-wrote that song together in the basement. And, just very proud of that. He was either 15 or 16 most at the time when we recorded it. And then he's on another track called Power Lines 25, which is on the record. There's a song on the record called Yesterday Is Gone. I'm very proud of as well. That my buddy Jamie, who I still play with, Hulka, he put out a record last year. And he had Bobby Rondinelli from Rainbow. Remember Stone Cold and all that stuff, Rainbow, and there are 2 records he's on, Difficult to Cure and Straight Between the Eyes. So through Jamie, I hooked up with Bobby, and Bobby ended up playing the drums on Yesterday Is Gone and producing the song. And then Jeremy, the singer for the Strictly Hip, the Tragically Hip thing that I do, his daughter Erin sings on 2 of the tracks. One is called 1983. And one is the title track, The Hard Way. So I just want to make sure that I get that in there. But so cool to be able to do the song with Bobby Rondinelli, because, I mean, again, I remember watching MTV as a kid and or a teen, and, loved the Stone Cold video. And, to be able to hook up with him and do something together was very good and very cool. And that came through Jamie, my buddy. So I can't thank Jamie enough. So I just wanted to put that in there. Thanks for letting me do that.
No, absolutely. And with all those great artists and your son on the album and everything, go out, everybody. The links will be below. Purchase The Hard Way. Get to know Bruce and his music. And this has been a lot of fun. Oh, there's the album. Pick it up. You'll have it in the links below. Bruce, is a great opportunity to get to know you. We're going to do this again. And like I said, if I'm in the area, I'll either catch a show or we'll grab a beer together. Everybody, I appreciate you hanging with us. This is always great to just get to kind of know somebody, like we're hanging out, having a beer, just getting to know people and getting to know their stories. So I appreciate it. Bruce, I appreciate you for making time today. Thank you so very much.
Scott, absolute pleasure. Cannot thank you enough. All right, man. All right, brother. I can't thank you enough.
Absolutely. Hey, us guys from Western New York, we got to stick together. Everybody, thanks so much for watching. Please do yourself a favor. Every day, show yourself a little love, compassion, kindness. Give that to another person, and it just makes life better for all of us. So be good to yourself, and we'll see you again on The Hang soon. Take it easy. Bye for now.
Thanks, Scott.
Bob.